All right, today we are going to get our hands dirty with a pretty tricky 6-mark GCSE question on surds. But here's the thing, we're not just going to solve it. We're going to dive deep into the official mark scheme step by step, so you can see exactly what an examiner is looking for. This is about securing every single mark.
So here's the plan. First, we'll introduce the challenge, question 16 itself, then we'll knock out part A and bag those first 2 marks. After that, we'll move on to the more complex part B. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the key skills you really need to nail questions just like this one.
Okay, let's jump right in. You know, the very first step with any exam question is to take a breath and figure out what on earth it's actually asking you to do.
And here it is, question 16, pulled straight from a past paper. You can see it's split into 2 parts. Part A is a 2-marker that asks us to rationalize a denominator. Simple enough. But then part B is the heavy hitter, a 4-mark problem where we have to wrestle an expression into a very specific format. That's 6 crucial marks up for grabs. Right, let's go ahead and bank our first points with part A. These are 2 of the easier marks in the question, and you absolutely don't want to leave them behind.
So how do you get these 2 marks? Well, it's broken down really clearly. You get 1 mark, called an M1 or method mark, just for showing you know the right process. The second mark, the A1 or accuracy mark, is for actually getting the correct final answer. Let's see what that looks like in practice.
And this is why your teachers are always telling you to show you're working. An M1 mark is awarded simply for proving you know the right way to start, even if you mess up a calculation later on. It's how you get credit for what you know, not just your final answer.
So for that first method mark, this is literally what the examiner needs to see on your paper. You're showing them loud and clear that you know the rule. To rationalize the denominator, you multiply the top and the bottom by that root 5. That's it. That's the key to unlocking that first mark.
And once you've shown your method, the A1 mark is for getting to the correct, simplified answer, which is 3 root 5. Now, here's a little insider tip from the mark scheme. It also accepts the unsimplified root of 45. But honestly, simplifying it fully to 3 root 5 just shows you've completely mastered it.
All right, 2 marks in the bag. Now for the main event, part B. This is the 4-mark section where being methodical really pays off.
You know, the very first mark you can get here is actually pretty straightforward, and it's independent of everything else. The mark scheme gives you an M1 in depth just for rewriting the square root of 75 as 5 root 3. That one little step is the foundation for solving the rest of the problem.
Okay, here's the main process. To deal with that denominator, we need to multiply the top and bottom by its conjugate. That just means you take the same expression and flip the sign in the middle. So we're multiplying by 1 times minus 2 root 3. That gets you your next method mark. A third mark comes from correctly expanding the brackets on the top. And that final, precious accuracy mark is for simplifying everything down into the format they asked for.
I love this little detail from the mark scheme. It's just brilliant. It says you get the method mark for expanding the numerator as long as you get at least 3 of the 4 terms right. You don't even have to be perfect. It's a fantastic safety net that lets you pick up marks even if you make one tiny slip up.
Okay, let's walk through this together, step by step. Up top, in the numerator, when we expand those brackets, we get 5 root 3, minus 30, minus 2, plus 4 root 3. And that all tidies up to give us 9 root 3 minus 32. Now for the denominator. Because it's a difference of 2 squares, the middle terms just vanish, leaving us with 1 minus 12, which is negative 11. See? Laying it out like this makes it so much harder to make a mistake.
And that leads us right to our final answer. We've got 9 root 3 minus 32, all divided by negative 11. But hold on, the question asks for it in a specific format, right? So what do? We just multiply the top and bottom by negative 1. This flips all the signs in the numerator, giving us 32 minus 9 root 3 all over a positive 11. And that's it. That's the final accuracy mark, and all 6 points are in the bag.
And there we have it. We've cracked it. But let's just pause for a second. What skills did we actually just use to get there? Let's quickly recap what this single question was really testing.
Wow, this one question was a proper workout, wasn't it? It made us simplify surds with that root 75. It tested rationalizing a basic denominator back in part A, and then it demanded that we could spot a conjugate, multiply by it, carefully expand a pair of brackets, and finally collect all the like terms. It's basically a perfect summary of all the key skills for this topic.
So the big takeaway here is this. When you start looking at a question through the lens of a mark scheme, it completely changes your approach. It stops being about a scary final answer and starts being about collecting individual marks by showing your method step by step. It's a really powerful technique that you can take with you for any tough question on your exam.